कुछ वर्ड बताएंगे जो मैंने आपको लास्ट टाइम बताए थे, मे बी आपको याद होंगे। अगर हम गे की डबलिंग कर देते हैं अबाउट द लाइन, क्या पढ़ेंगे इसको? गे की डबलिंग अबाउट द लाइन क्या पढ़ेंगे? एग्रीकल्चर। और अगर इसमें एग्रीकल्चरल लगाना है तो क्या कर देना है? बस एल लगा देना है। अगर डॉट ये लाइन है, अगर हम यहाँ पे एन की डबलिंग करते हैं और इससे नीचे टच करते हुए डार्क की डबलिंग करते हैं, एनजी की डबलिंग करते हैं, क्या डिफरेंस आता है? क्या रीड किया जाता है? नेचर और इंडस्ट्री। अब इंडस्ट्री का इंडस्ट्रियल करने में आपने या तो यहाँ पे एनएल लगा देना है या फिर इंडस्ट्री में डबलिंग करके एल लगा देना है। दोनों ही तरीके के पैटर्न ठीक माने जाते हैं। अब इंडस्ट्रियल के अंदर आपने लगाना है इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर की लगा देंगे डबलिंग के साथ, इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर। ऐसे ही एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर हो जाएगा। ये सब बता दिया था आपको, ठीक है। अब आप इसमें एक पॉइंट और जोड़ेंगे जो बड़ा यूज होता है। सेम वर्ड जब एंड के साथ रिपीट होता है, क्या रिपीट होता है? तो हमने करना होता है, अगर ईयर एंड ईयर है तो हमने उसमें डबल डैश मार देना है। क्या हो जाएगा वो? ईयर एंड ईयर। अगर ईयर बाई ईयर है तो हमने आई लगा देना है ऊपर, ईयर बाई ईयर। उसके बाद में हमने लिखना है ईयर टू ईयर, ईयर टू ईयर, ईयर टू ईयर। हमें लिखना है ईयर आफ्टर ईयर, तो ईयर फिर आफ्टर और ये ईयर। काटेंगे ईयर को ही, जिसको दोबारा से पढ़ना है, डबल रिपीट करना है, उसी को पढ़ेंगे। सपोज आपको लिखना लेस एंड लेस, तो क्या करेंगे? लेस में डबल डैश मार देंगे, क्या बन गया? लेस एंड लेस। लेस बाई लेस, तो ये लेस बनाया और यहाँ बाई लेस, लेस बाई लेस। लेस टू लेस, लेस आफ्टर लेस, ठीक है। ये एक पैटर्न है, आप जो कहीं भी यूज कर सकते हो इस पैटर्न को। ये इजीली इन वर्डों का जो कॉम्बिनेशन चलता है आराम से काम करता है और काफ़ी हेल्पफुल रहता है, स्पीड में भी इनहेंस करता है, ठीक है। देखो मैं कोशिश करता हूँ, हालांकि मुझे फीवर था 2 दिन से, मैं कोशिश करता हूँ आपको डिक्टेशन बोलने की। अगर मैं बोल पा बिना खांसी वासी के तो ठीक है, नहीं तो फिर मैं स्पीकर पर लगा दूंगा इसको, ठीक है। 100 के आसपास लिखेंगे पहले। Started. In the course of the discussion, it has been very ably pointed out by a large number of speakers as to how the rubber industry is in the grip of certain foreign elements and Indian monopolists at the top. We know that there are small planters and producers, but the hold of the Dunlop company was also mentioned. So far as the big industries are concerned, it has been their policy to capitalize the money and to put money in the reserve fund instead of utilizing such funds and profits for improvement of the working classes and for the betterment of the laborers. It was pointed out yesterday that the Dunlop company gave very high dividends. You will be shocked to know that while the company had money to declare a dividend of 40% and also to capitalize a part of the profits, it did not give at all a fair deal to the workers. On the contrary, they were kept at more or less the same old level, where they had a kind of labor. Practically speaking, therefore, it becomes necessary to look into this matter. Sir, we are interested in the increase in production, and everybody is interested in the increase in production. The production of rubber, coffee, or of any other essential commodities or imported commodities must undoubtedly be increased in the country. But merely by appointing a board or by taking certain powers into the government's hands or investing the board with such powers, you cannot ensure increase in production. There may be slight improvement here and there, but materially you cannot alter the situation until and unless you inspire the real producers by making them see through their own life's experience that increase of production means a constant rise in their standard of living, in their material and cultural well-being. Now, that is why I say that it is very essential when the board is really being given certain powers for looking after the interests of the working class, to make these powers effective, and to make them effective would be to ask the board to work for the increase of the wages of the rubber workers or the laborers who work in that particular industry. Now, that is not there. It is a very unhappy omission and a very sad omission. If the intention of the bill is good, sir, as you know, we had been told in the recent days very much about socialism, and we are not talking about socialism in its big aspects here at all. This is not our concern here, but if you at all really have such feelings, if you think that socialism is something which one has to swear by, even though the ideas of socialism were first propagated 1 century ago, then give some expression to it. But we know that there will not be socialism at all under you. All that we say is, if you swear by socialism, talk about socialism, if the members of that side of the house go to some other houses and hear lectures very seriously, they should come here and tell us that they are also going to increase the wages of the workers when such measures are brought up. Such occasions are good occasions for them to cultivate this thing, because you have yet to learn the ABC of socialism first, and you cannot write a book or a poem or an article straight away, and we do not expect you to do it either. But if you are really sincere about what you are talking, you should try to learn the ABC, that is to say, being and giving the workers a fair deal, giving them a living wage, and dealing with the workers here. In this bill, you should make provisions for them. I do not suggest to the minister that in this bill there should be provision that so much wages shall be given to the rubber plantation worker or fix a scale and all that sort of thing, all that I have proposed in this amendment is that the board should be given that reorientation of outlook, should be given the direction that the wages have to be increased and that they have to consciously work for it. That is all that I demand in this amendment. Sir, we do not like that our workers should be exploited by the people, and he will not deny, because it has been pointed out from that side of the house also that huge profits are being amassed. They cannot spend the money. The British who are earning out of this industry cannot spend the money. With all their luxury and extravagance, they cannot spend that money here in this country. They send this money abroad. Even then, they retain some money in their hands. They would rather keep them in banks ideal than give this money to the workers for bettering their lot, for improving their conditions, which determines in the final analysis whether the production of the country would go up or not. Now, sir, I read with great interest the select committee's report, especially the portion of the evidence appended to it. And I would ask you also, sir, to reread, if you have already read this interesting document. You see here Mr. T.T. Krishnamachari crossing swords with an important representative of the British interests, the British rubber interest in this country. Now, it is all a wordy battle. It is a sort of very interesting competition for being smart, one trying to overreach another in smartness. But at the same time, out of these discussions, it emerges that the British interests are totally unmindful of the interests of the workers, of the interest of the country as a whole. Although the British gentlemen who came here to give evidence spoke of national interests and all that. Here you will find many interests. 100 की स्पीड है, 1000 वर्ड है, और ये सोर्स केसी है, 94 नंबर है. फ्लक्चुएशन लगभग ना के बराबर है. आप 100 प्लस ही रहेगी, थोड़ी सी स्पीड है, माइनस से 80 पे लिखेंगे एक. Ready? started. Madam, you are aware that when this life business was nationalized in the year 1956, great expectations and great hopes were entertained by all members of parliament. In the statement of objects and reasons relating to that measure, the finance minister stated that nationalization was necessary and even imperative to achieve the broad objectives of increasing insurance business, to take it to larger areas, including the rural areas, and to give greater returns to policyholders. We have to see, after these few years of the working of this organization, how far we have achieved these great objectives. In the past also, we may remember that many criticisms have been made in regard to the working of this organization. Even the estimates committee has gone into this question and examined in detail the various aspects of the working of this organization. That committee has made certain recommendations. Those recommendations are very important, and I will advert to them shortly. Before I deal with them, I wish to make one point clear. In spite of the various criticisms and in spite of the various comments made in the House, in the press, and also through various organizations, the working of this organization has not been improved very much. The report which we are discussing today relates to the year 2006. Obviously, it is a very old document, and a discussion on this report at this hour perhaps is too late. Nevertheless, a discussion is important if we keep in view some of the fundamental problems that are facing this organization. This report was submitted in November 2011, that is to say some 55 years after the period of the working of this organization. I do not know why there should be such inordinate delay in submitting reports. The report, madam, deals with various aspects. It does not bring out many things which ought to be properly brought out in a report of this kind. And while reading this report, I was not able to make out the working of this organization and to get a proper understanding of it. For that purpose, I have to depend upon other reports and other opinions expressed by various organizations in this country, and thereby I have to gather information. That is why I have to suggest that the report should be comprehensive. I would refer to some of the important problems confronting this organization. The most important Among them, in my opinion, is the organizational setup. You remember when this matter came up for discussion in both houses of parliament at the time of the nationalization of this life business, suggestions were made by certain members. I was participating in the other house in the debate then, and I suggested that one corporation would not be better, and it is desirable to have more than one organization. To have more than one corporation, I suggested this, and a good many members of my party made this suggestion because they thought that there should be some sort of comparative standards to measure the efficiency and performance of this organization. Without such comparative standards to measure the efficiency and the work of this organization, I would be difficult to judge either the efficiency of the organization or the improvement or progress made by the organization. Therefore, we suggested that there should be more than one corporation. Perhaps there should be 3 or 4. Now, after the experience gained, the estimates committee has come to this conclusion that this is a huge monolithic organization whose task has been increasing all the time, and that it has not been possible for this organization to fulfill all the expectations and all the tasks and all the requirements that are expected to be fulfilled by this organization. And so, the estimates committee has suggested a radical change, a revolutionary departure with regard to the organizational setup. They have adversely pointed out 2 alternatives. The first alternative is to set up more than one corporation so that there may be division of work and division of areas. There may also be healthy competition between the corporations so that the country and the people may know which corporation is doing better and which is not doing better. The other alternative they have suggested is that there should be one organization with a federal structure with semi-zonal units functioning. Therefore, I also submit that with this monolithic structure, it would be difficult for the organization to carry out its functions more efficiently and in a direction which is healthy and which is progressive. In the first instance, therefore, I would suggest that the ministry should immediately take steps to see that the whole organizational setup is revised and reorganized so that there may be better efficiency and understanding maintained into the working of this great institution. The organization as it is constituted reveals certain inherent defects. The main office is managed by a large number of officials. 80 की स्पीड है, 840 वर्ड है, 47 नंबर है, एक जगह पे इट की जगह आई हुआ है, सोर्स केसी है इसका। ठीक है, इन दोनों से जो अच्छी लगे वो टाइप कर लेंगे फिलहाल, और बाकी सब स्पीकर रूम में चले जाएंगे, उनकी जो सीन है या फिर अनसीन जो भी लिखनी है वो लिखेंगे।